Hello guys, I am back, but not for long, mind. So guys, as you can see, I'm back at work, and I know you're all thinking, for Christ's sake Lee, why don't you just rest? Now, I do feel a bit knackered. There's only one reason why I am back, and that's just to do some invoices for John, because we've got quite a bit of work over there due to go out, as you can see. A few purchase invoices to sort out and pay for, which I've done. So I got in here this morning about 10 o'clock. It's now just gone 1 o'clock, lunchtime. I'm just going to have me a cup of coffee and then I'm going home again, guys. Feel absolutely knackered. You know what it's like, wandering around the house and sitting down, you don't feel too bad. As soon as you come into work, add it. Quite out of breath. But anyway, I just want to thank you guys for your support from the last video. Yeah, Isaac did an absolutely fantastic job. I'm so lucky to have the lad. Yeah, don't know what else to say really. He's done a brilliant job. So thank you very much, Isaac, and thanks to everyone who's been supportive with your nice comments, etc. Really do appreciate it. I'm sorry to harp on, but obviously at the moment with my health, don't quite know what's the matter yet, but I have to tell you, because it's obviously going to affect the videos and what have you, or potentially. So not my usual self, and not being able to do the usual amount of work, then yeah, going to affect it. So got to tell you. But anyway, guys, I'm in here at the moment. I've just had a little sort out the workshop, see what's what, see what I've got to do before I go. Well, first of all, this is the Cosworth crankshaft for Kevin's engine. Now, Kevin's engine is the one over there with the blue block. Now, that is the one that I said about the other day that was a bit of a disaster. The one where the guys bought the car with the pictures of the engine all done. Turns out it wasn't the engine that was in the vehicle. But anyway, they rebuilt it themselves, but since then it's had some detonation, it's had to come apart again. So this is the crankshaft. The crank has been ground before, so 0.25 on the mains, 0.25 big ends, but unfortunately it is a bit scored. John is halfway through grinding the crank, and you can see he's done the big ends. He's just in the process of doing the mains, and you can see that there is some scoring on the mains there. So unfortunately the whole crank's got to go down to 0.5. At least it's salvageable, guys. So once we've done that, Isaac is going to face the flywheel, balance the crank assembly. Sorry about the phone, John's just with a customer. So here is the block. The block is all salvageable. As I say, it's got the 6 long studs in it already, but they're the old style studs. They're the ones with the built-in washer on the stud. So on one side, on the 2 studs, I've told you before, they don't go quite deep enough. So what I've done is ordered, which have arrived actually, the 2 Julian Godfrey long studs. So I'm just going to remachine those 2 studs and put the Julian Godfrey ones in, and the other 4 should be absolutely fine. Next step on here, we've got a box there with the 4 ductile iron ductile iron liners for the Cosworths, and we're going to be fitting the ductile iron liners into this, because this has been bored to 92.5. The bores are not great, you see some watermarks down there, so we're going to be taking that back to standard. And Mar Motorsport have kindly sent me, if we haven't got it already, some standard Marler pistons, which obviously I'm going to be putting my cutouts in, etc. So the rest of the bits, the rods, obviously we're going to be checking if we need to size them. We're going to be balancing them as a matter of course anyway. Isaac's going to do the crank assembly. So yeah, new bearings and what have you will be going in, race bearings. But as you can see, some very unusual, for the small amount of work this engine's done, some very unusual wear patterns in those bearings there. It looks like it's, whether there's been water or fuel in the oil, or some debris from the detonation, could be, but there's quite a lot of debris ingress in those bearings anyway, and same with the big ends. So it's not going to have been long before probably it would have scrapped the crank, this thing. So they're pretty fortunate in some respects that the thing detonated. I'm going to be stripping that pump, checking it. If that's mint, which I doubt it, then we can reuse it. But The four-wheel drive pumps at the minute are getting hard to come by. A decent pump, you've got to be careful on your brands. So that is it really on this engine at the minute, guys. The head is the one that we did quite a while ago. It was the one with all the welding that Tom Upton did for us. So the head they've had back and all done. So yeah, it's basically self-explanatory on this one, guys. So as you can see, like I said, there's plenty of work down here that's been done, that's got to go. John's obviously been waiting for invoices. I've only been off for a couple of days, but it seems like I've been off for a month with the amount of paperwork that was on the desk. It's ridiculous. I know a lot of you suggest that really we should get some sort of secretary in here to do the paperwork. The trouble is, when I'm sort of doing it from day to day, an hour here, half hour there, you don't really notice it. It's only when I've had a few days off, and it doesn't really warrant someone sitting there for 8 hours a day answering the phone, passing it to us. It's one of them, isn't it? What do you do? But as I say, I'm going to be going over in a minute, guys. Need to rest. As much as I want to be here, I do feel like I need to rest really and wait for these results on Monday. So going to be doing whatever video footage we can, obviously getting Isaac to help me if he can. But yeah, thanks for your patience, guys. I really appreciate it, and can't wait to get back to normal. But I'm going to be adding to this video as soon as I get home, probably at the dining table like old school. Right, so here I am, guys, back at home, chilling. Got changed, left the work in the capable hands of the two boys. Can't thank them enough. They've been really supportive, and the place is in good hands there with Isaac and John. Thumbnail and title, what is it all about? So if we revert back to quite a while ago, I did a series of videos on an engine that I did for a friend of mine. One of those, following on from a couple of videos lately about doing work for friends, etc. It was the S54 engine that we built for my friend's race car. So we just recap very, very briefly, won't go back. You'll have to just go right back. Oh, it's got to be getting on beginning of the year-ish, I would say. What happened is we built the engine. He wanted it tuned. He had the car dynoed at about 370 odd horsepower, something like that. Bear in mind, out of an S54, that's pretty good. So what did we do? We put Newman reprofiled uprated cams in it, high compression, custom pistons, obviously trick rods, bearings, all the rest of it, balanced as we normally do, basically. And then he went off, he got it was a while before the car was actually complete. Now, we did have one hiccup when the engine was put back into the car and fired up. I can only put it down to Carlos was the one that built the head up, and at the time, going to be honest, weren't too familiar with fitting the Vanos units on the BMWs, as I've explained recently on building my S50 engine. But now I understand the Vanos units and the way they work. I can only come to the conclusion, because it bent the exhaust valves after a short period of running. I think what Carlos did was he put the Vanos unit on without the plungers being right back. And basically when the car fired up and they would come right back, it's retarded the exhaust cam and bent the valves. Maybe that's the only theory I can come up with. But anyway, that was sorted, all paid for, sorted out, no problem. Anyway, Tom took the car once it was built up country and got it mapped. All down the dyno, obviously fetched good figures. Then he went the next day to Snetterton, did, I think it was sort of most of the day round Snetterton, or half a track day. Wasn't pushing the car massively, he says, but then ended up with a misfire. So Tom come back to me, in the end, he got the engine stripped and brought back to me when I sort of did say bring it back to me, but he's got a garage to strip it and bring it back. So it was very difficult to sort of see. Usually when you strip the individual bits off, you can sort of see what's happened along the way, but that wasn't the case. So the only thing I had to go by was what was in front of me. It was the engine components. Now, two things had happened to this, unfortunately. One, when we fitted the pistons, the webs down the base of the pistons did encroach on the oil spray jets in the block. So you have to manipulate them so they basically sit in between the web and the con rod. Okay, it's a bit of a fine line. Obviously, we turned it over and over. Everything missed. It was fine. on the bench. But one or two of these had actually broke off. So how that had happened, I do not know. Whether we just got our clearances wrong, don't know. There was some scuffing on some of the two, I think it was a couple of the piston skirts, which obviously inevitably could have created issues. There was some running issues on the pistons, but the actual failure of the engine, I come to the conclusion of, was nothing to do with the oil spray jets. It was actually number 2 crown. The skirt of the piston was absolutely fine. The bore was fine on number 2, but the crown, apparently when they took the spark plug out, which I didn't see, the spark plug had just melted, and a corner of the piston down by, I think it was the inlet or exhaust, might be an exhaust valve cutout, was burnt away. So whether it had pre-ignition, a running issue, plug failed, it was one of those. So that was really what I diagnosed as the reason for failure. But as I say, the oil spray jets could have been a problem. Obviously, with Tom being a friend and what have you, I didn't want it to get awkward. Tom was a bit confused because obviously he's paid a lot of money for an engine. It was one of those scenarios. So I said, listen, what I will do the machining, I will do the rectification of all the engine components. I will also supply new pistons, rods, anything that was damaged through what I could see would be or has been a problem with the oil spray jets. So I replaced the pistons, con rods, bearings, gaskets, etc. And then he's took it to someone else and they're going to build it. So that was it. As far as I was concerned, we were done. It was finalised. Recently, it's one of those situations where they've obviously, whoever's building the engine, I'm not going to mention any names, between them and Tom, they've done a bit of investigation between themselves. They're still coming to the conclusion that it was an engine issue all along to do with the oil spray jets. They've sent me a bulletin from Marla saying what the potential damage could be to a piston through oil spray jets. I know that, been doing this for a long time. But I'll be honest with you, I'm sort of what Tom is getting at now. He wants me to pay for a few of the gaskets, the oil spray jets. He said not much, but he hasn't mentioned any money yet. I did email him back at the time because I'm a bit frustrated where it always comes back to the engine builder. And I know, you know, we are very honest, and I know sometimes it could be an engine issue from an engine builder, but we all know there's been plenty of people involved in this. The mappers are never at fault, are they? Let's be honest with you. This guy said he's come to the conclusion that it was that. I don't know what's, you know, the conversation's been between them. Tom's come back at me saying, look, it's running fine now with a stock motor that he's put in temporarily, which means absolutely nothing. But I've got to the point, guys, with, you know, not being very well and the stress and all the rest of it, I don't want nothing to do with it anymore. I've just said to Tom, listen, send over the invoices that you think that I should pay for. I'm more than willing to pay for the oil spray jets because they were one item that obviously got damaged through my own fault. So I will pay for them, but then everything else has been paid for. So that's my feeling. I'll see what else he's looking to be paid for, and we'll sort of evaluate that when it comes to it. But I don't know how you feel, guys. It was just one of those videos where I'm not going to sort of sit here and whinge about it too much longer. Just want to get your opinion on it and see whether you think, you know, I should be paying for a bit more. Whether Tom's right, I'm right. It's one of them, innit? I just don't want the stress. Don't want to fall out with anyone anymore. But it is frustrating. You're almost, by paying stuff, you're almost admitting liability when really, although there was an issue with the engine that we did, that wasn't the actual reason for failure. And all these busy bodies that are getting involved now, none of them are qualified engineers, really. We've never really had a qualified engineer look at it, so it's one of them, isn't it? You know, it's just a little bit frustrating that at the very end of it, people really think that it may have been a problem that we've done, but it's actually wasn't, as far as I am concerned. But yeah, just let me know down what you think, guys, about that and whether you think I should be paying any more. But that's my feeling at the moment. That's what I sort of feel willing to do. But we'll see what he's asking for when he sends over the invoices. Well, like I say, guys, thanks ever so much for your support. Thanks very much for watching this video. I can't wait to get back to work with full health and start doing some more in-depth videos on machining, etc. But until then, guys, you're going to have to bear with Isaac and we will be doing whatever videos we can for you guys. So, yeah. Until then, Friday we shall hopefully have some more for you. But yeah, enjoy your evening, guys, and I will see you in due course. Take care.